So hi everyone, my name is Nicole and I'm a student from MSc Operational Research of the class 2014 to 2015. So in this presentation, I'm gonna introduce the use of the simulation. I will start with a brief introduction of the simulation, followed by simplified airline ticket sales control cases, which include a background description, approaches used, and the result analysis. So let's get started. In real-life scenarios, mathematical models could be very powerful and providing an exact answer. But when uncertainty and variability are involved, a mathematical solution is not always possible. And a simple approach of using average values could sometimes lead to very wrong decisions. One alternative, when the behavior of the system is not very predictable, is to use stochastic models, which simulation is one of the examples. A simulation of the system is the operation of a model. The advantages of this model is that first it allows for different scenarios to be assessed. It might be too expensive or not very possible in real-life systems. Second thing is it allows the analysis of complex systems where unrealistic assumptions has to be made and where mathematical models is not always feasible. An important characteristic of this model is that it is possible to incorporate uncertainties and variability that affect the behavior of the system. So I'm going to introduce you mainly two types of simulation. The first one is the Monte Carlo simulation, which will be focused today. The Monte Carlo simulation is an analytical technique that involves running of large numbers of simulations using random quantities and for uncertain variables, and looking at the distribution of the results to infer the most likely result. One important application of the Monte Carlo simulation is to allow people account for risks in quantitative analysis. It is widely used in disparate fields such as finance, project management, energy manufacturing, engineering, R&D, insurance, and transportation. Another type of simulation is the discrete event simulation, which we establish dynamic models in software such as Simulate, and we replicate a system behavior that changes over time, and then we observe how the atom moves in the system, and we take down the parameters. But we will not be focused on this simulation today. So now I'm going to introduce you the background of the case we're going to talk about today and what the issues will be. Harbin Airway Revenue Management is an airline company that is a fixed airline company. So in our simplified model, Harbin Airways offers two types of tickets. The full fare tickets, which is mainly targeted at the business people. And this type of tickets has a profit of £100. And we also have the discounted fare tickets, which the students are the main target, and the profit is £35. They have 5 flights and 100 seats available for each flight. The idea of the protection level is designed to pre-reserve seats for the full fare tickets customers in order to maintain the sales revenue of the company at a certain level, so that the discounted fare tickets can only be sold at around 30 because we'll reserve 80 of the seats for the full fare tickets, and only 20 seats can be sold as discounted fare. The problem now is that the management team are concerned that this protection level is too low, which will affect the profitability of the company. So they trying to look at methods to improve this level in order to improve their profitability. Before we establish the model, there are several assumptions that need to be made. The first one is we assume that the 5 flats demand are representative for all flats, which means we set the demand level for each flat approximately the same. So the second assumption is that we assume demand stays the same across all period of the year. Now, this assumption might sound a little bit unrealistic because for airline companies, there will always be hot seasons and for traveling and other period of time which the demand isn't as high. But as we assume the inter-arrival rate will be the same across all periods of the year, so it doesn't matter of whether the demand will changes. So in case of the demand are particularly high in a particular month, we can always reset the demand for that month. The third assumption is that the profit made from each full and discounted fare tickets are fixed, which are 135 pounds, as we already explained in the previous slide. We also assume that tickets have no minimum utilization rate, and the tickets are randomly allocated among requested bookings despite the time they booked in. And the booking system runs 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. The demand are approximated by the cost received to express the wish of booking. In order to capture the real demand, this kind of wish of booking is regardless of the remaining seats available on the flight. The reservation information that staff take contains mainly the time, which is measured by the hours per hour to departure, and also the ticket class, whether it's full fare or discounted fare. The analysis is based on a sample of 640 observations across 5 flights. Now, with all this settled down, we can now look at a summary of the costs for the cost for booking. Now, this page shows a summary of the cost received to book tickets type for each flight and the flight per week. The figures are randomly randomed using Excel random number generation function with booking information given. So clearly, the full fare demand exceeds the discounted fare demands observed from the first graph on the left. The demand is not varying significantly across all flats. With the information of arrival and arrival time available, we can fit the process into known distribution. But before that, we need to calculate the inter-arrival time, which is the time difference between 2 arrivals, and is denoted by the letter mu. And the inter-arrival rates, which is at per unit time how many arrivals are there, and it's simply 1 divided by mu. The congregated arrivals were fitted using at-risk distribution fitting feature. Same process was done for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week arrivals for all flats and for all types of tickets. The inter-arrival times are fitted in an exponential distribution with a mean of 11 hours for fare tickets and 10 hours for the discounted fare tickets, while the inter-arrival rates follow a Poisson distribution with a mean of 2 for discounted fare tickets and a mean of 2.25 for the full fare tickets. Now, the time units we use here is per day, so the Poisson distributions measures arrivals per day. Now, this shows what it looks like in the actual software after you fit in the distribution, and this is an negative exponential distribution. Once the arrival rates are well defined, the model simulating the booking system is constructed. The model simulates what happens in the real booking system. Requested book seats follows the Poisson distribution, as we already discussed. And it should be mentioned that the maximum number of discounted fare tickets cannot exceed the total amount of seats minus the protection level. And now it's the protection level that we're trying to find out. So the model needs a decision for input and output and a running period as well. The main input of the model is the arrival rates, the profits for each class, which are 35 and 100, and the protection level for full-fare tickets, which is 20 at current protection level. And the output is the number of the discounted fare tickets sold, the number of the full-fare tickets sold, and the total profit of the flight, because it's the total profit we're trying to maximize. And the modeling period we set to be 30 days. Each row of this model simulates a single day, and the model exhibits 30 rows, which means 30 days time period is used for the simulation, because the booking only allowed for 30 days prior to the flight departure. Now at the left-hand side, you can see that the parameters that we already calculated in the previous slides, which are the inter-arrival time and the arrival rates. And then demand is captured using all requested, and then it breaks into discounted fare requests and full fare requests. At the end of the row, you can see the seats available, which captures the remaining seats on the flight. At day 29, we can observe that the seats are fully booked, which means the booking system should be stopped from there because there's no remaining seats available. All simulations are done using Monte Carlo sampling. The number of iterations we set here is 100,000 iterations. The iteration controls how many independent samples we need to collect. The number of iterations has a big impact on how accurate our estimate is. If the iteration number is too little, then we might get an inaccurate estimate. But if it's too large, it may take the system too long to run and to produce the output. The objective of this primary analysis is to explore different scenarios and target the intervals where the optimal solutions may lay. So we set several scenarios where the protection levels may possibly sit at from 0 to 100 seats, and the interval in between them are 10 seats. After we get the results, we'll compare the means of the total profits and find the optimal protection level. The optimal solution showed by at risk is from 70 to 80 protected seats. Now this figures summarizes the results. We can see that at approximately of 74 to 75 seats, the profits has the highest level. Now, in order to further investigate which particular number of seats the protection level should be, we'll do another simulation with the protection levels breaks down from 70 to 79 seats, and the interval this time between them will be 1 seat. And from this table, we can observe at the 5th row, the protection where the protection level is 74 seats, we get the total maximum mean total profits, which is 7,944. It should be noted that compare mean and not efficient. What we need to do is to compare the confidence intervals because mean are not fixed each time. It lies in within the confidence interval that changes as the simulation goes. So the maximum value is 7,944 pounds, and the optimal protection level captured is 74 seats. All the scenarios simulated are better than the original 20 seats from this graph here. we can see that from 70, there is a big increase for the total profits compared with the original 26 protection level. As we already discussed, the mean profits are not always at this level, and the profits follow a confidence interval in a 95% significance level with lower and upper bounds of between these two numbers, which means the mean profit of each simulation will be vary within this bound. So the optimal solution can be found using an alternative approach, which is the risk optimization. The risk optimization is an idea of using simulation within some sort of optimization routine to search for the best solution through space. The output here will be the mean total profit, which is what we're trying to maximize. The variable of interest here is the protection level. This is what can be varied in order to find the optimal value of profit. Total number of seats booked was set to be less or equal to 100 as a constraint. And the optimization procedure was based on 50 trials and 25,000 iterations. This is equivalent to running 1.25 million simulations. The optimization procedure lasted for 16 minutes. The more the iterations run, the longer the system will take. Now let's look at the results. Now these results give exactly the same results as we did in the previous approach, which is 74 seats for the protection level, although the total profit varies a little. Again, the mean profit from the optimization procedure is different from the mean profit found in the previous section. As it has been mentioned above, the total profit optimized is not a fixed value, but follows a confidence interval and therefore changes in each simulation run. In fact, there's another alternative to solve this problem. A new model was constructed to simulate the booking system in which the discounted tickets are withdrawn after a certain day. This model is similar to the model in the previous section, but the main difference would be the input of interest. In the previous section, the interest was the protection level for full fare ticket seats. In this alternative approach, the input of interest will be the last day to book in for a discounted tickets. So for example, if last day to book a discounted fare tickets is set to be 12, that means the discounted fare tickets are withdrawn in day 13. Discounted fare tickets are sold starting from day 1 when the booking system opens through to day 12. And this is also equivalent to say withdrawn 17 days before the departure of the flight. Although we said that the open period for the discounted fare tickets to be 12 doesn't mean that 100 seats can be sold in the 12 days. The arrival rate of booking for the discounted fare tickets will remain the same. And the simulations is run this time for 30 trials and 25,000 iterations. And the optimal results we get from this approach is day 12. It has a mean profit of around 7,835, which is very close to the two previous approaches. Though the results may appear to be accurate and consistent, these results are extremely sensitive to the profit made out of the tickets. In other words, if the profit made out of the single fare tickets is proportionally different from one case to another, the optimal number of protected seats for the full fare tickets will change from one scenario to the other. The table 1 summarizes the regression coefficients for the ratios of discounted fare tickets to full fare tickets, as well as full fare and discounted fare profits. So for example, if the profit for discounted fare tickets increase £1, will lead to an increase of total profit of £26, which equals to the regression coefficients for that row. Now let's look at some recommendations and the limitations that we have for the simulations. So from what we have discussed so far, we know that the simulations is run based on a sample of 640 samples, which is a slightly quite small sample size. So in order to get a better distribution fitting, we might want to increase the number of the samples we use. The second recommendation is to introduce the price elasticity of demand, because currently our price for the either for fare and discounted fare are fixed at the level of 35 and 100. But this might not be true in real-life cases, because we often see airline companies increase their ticket price when the demand rises, especially as approaching to the day of departure. And the third recommendation would be to increase the tickets type, because currently we only have 2 types of tickets. It would be better to increase another tickets type in between 35 and 100. This will lead to a better space for optimization. We could also allow for overbooking and charge customers for a cancellation fee if they decided to cancel it later. This might be approached to increase the profitability for the company. But one concern for this would be it might result in utilization problems, but it's widely adopted by the airline companies, and this is worth for the investigation. Now, the one limitation about this whole simulation model is our results are quite sensitive to the changes in the assumptions we made. So we need to be really careful of what assumptions we made, because the results might be significantly different if one assumption varies. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and get an idea of how simulation could help airline company decide their pricing strategy, and as well as how the environmental factors changes would influence their total profitability.